Your favourite podcaster was able to cross off another of his must-visit while in China places this past weekend. I've often thought about going up to Inner Mongolia to see what their area is like. Not for anything specific, just that it has always intrigued me in an odd kind of way. Maybe the stories of Genghis Khan and his ilk sweeping across the plains of Asia in the 13th century had something to do with it. Anyway, my guardian angel obviously thought it was high time I got off my sit-up-on, and out of the blue came an invitation from an independent TV production company with whom I work occasionally, asking if I'd like to pop up to Hailar for a long weekend to get better acquainted with one of the projects they're currently working on. Inner Mongolia, for those who are geographically challenged, is the third largest subdivision of China, spanning approximately 1.2 million square kilometers, or 12% of China's total landmass. Although the majority of the population in the region is Han Chinese, there's a sizable Mongol minority. Hailar is at the top of China, close to the Russian border. I get up well before the crack of dawn and head to the airport. There are around half a dozen flights a day between the northern capital and Hailar's Dongshan airport, and I stride manfully to the check-in aisle of Xiamen Airways, whose 737-800 I'm flying on today. "I'm flying to Hailar," I add helpfully to the check-in clerk as I give him my passport. But he looks at me quizzically and asks where that is. Not a very good beginning. I show him the booking sent to me over my iPhone, and he relaxes. "Oh, you mean Hailar," he says. Isn't that what I said? But I'm used to check-in clerks not understanding my true blue British accent, so I allow him to bask in his newly found superiority. The flight is good, albeit that it leaves precisely 1 hour late, but it makes up for some lost time on the way. "Welcome to Hornbier," the flight attendant mumbles into the microphone, as I quickly check to see where on earth I might have landed. And we are tipped out into a clear, sunny day where the temperature is already nudging 30 degrees. Strange ladies in beautiful costumes are waiting for a couple of the passengers on my flight, but instead I'm met by 2 of the film crew and we head off into town. It turns out that since 2001, Hailar has served as the urban district of the newly created Hulunbuir city. Wiki explains that confusingly, Hulunbuir, or Hornbier, or Susunbier, depending on what language you happen to be talking at the time, is called a city in Mandarin Chinese, which is a mistranslation, perhaps, of the Mongolian banner, which is more like the equivalent of a county or shire, as it is largely rural. Hailar is the main city of the region, located some 150 kilometers from the Russian border. The Qing dynasty founded a garrison town along a crossing of the Hailar River in 1734 to buffer their strength against growing Russian incursion into Manchurian territory. The modern city currently has a population of around 250,000, with a large contingent of ethnic minorities. Hailar's extreme temperatures range from around -48 to +39. This weekend it reaches 35 degrees before plummeting to around 15 at night. The town planners have done a wonderful job of putting up statues and sculptures all over the town, which immediately has a charm about it. Everywhere is clean and fresh. The air is pure and the sky is blue, truly a happy place before you've gone very far at all. The official languages here are Chinese and Mongolian, the latter of which is written in a traditional Mongolian script, as opposed to the Mongolian Cyrillic alphabet, which is used in the state of Mongolia. It's beautiful to look at, with each word being written from top to bottom as a true alphabet, with separate letters for consonants and vowels, in a line running from left to right. Although the Mongolian script was defined in Unicode in 1999, there was no support for it until the release of Windows Vista in 2007, and we all remember what a disaster Vista was, don't we? But the lack of support for inline vertical displays still causes problems for many software programs. The initial version of Microsoft Mongolian Baiti font was, in the supplier's own words, almost unusable, according to Wikipedia, while other fonts, such as Monotype's Mongol Usug and Miatav Mongolian script, suffer even more serious bugs. Genghis Khan unified the Mongol tribes in 1206 and founded the Mongol Empire. In 1271, his grandson, Kublai Khan, established the Yuan dynasty. His summer capital, Shangdu, also known as Xanadu, was located near present-day Dolonor. After the Yuan dynasty was overthrown by the Han-led Ming dynasty in 1368, the Ming captured parts of Inner Mongolia and rebuilt the Great Wall of China at its present location, which roughly follows the southern border of modern Inner Mongolia. For the next 300 years, Inner Mongolia was the political and cultural centre of the Mongols during the northern Yuan dynasty. Hailar was founded as a Chinese fort in 1734, and during the administration of the Republic of China, it was the capital city of Xing'an province. It has long been known as the Pearl of the Grasslands, or so the web blurb would have us believe. But what intrigues me more is that so many people here are carrying rara sticks. For those younger than a certain age, rara is a reduplication of an abbreviation for hurrah, which was used as a synonym for cheering when used by rara girls or cheerleaders during the 1980s. But the explanation is much simpler, I soon learn. This place may well be the Pearl of the Grasslands, but with that grand title comes something else. Midges and insects by the trillion. If you haven't got a rara stick, you've come ill-prepared in the constant fight against the little critters. Unless you are worried that civilization might have made a detour around the region, you can rest assured that there's not just McDonald's to be found. Have you ever seen it written in Mongolian? But call girls are also using tart stickers just like the ones you find in Beijing. Genghis and Kublai would surely have been thrilled. Both, it seems, were extreme womanizers. Tisk tisk. Now, if you ever watched the film Mongol, and if not, why not, you'll undoubtedly have fallen in love with the music of Altan Urak, a Mongolian folk rock band. Formed in 2002, the band's musical style combines traditional Mongolian and contemporary influences. The members of the band have all been trained in classical Mongolian music and typically perform with horsehead fiddles, traditional horn, and a type of hammered dulcimer, as well as incorporating kuromi, or throat singing, and long song into the vocals. The horsehead fiddle consists of a wooden-framed sound box to which two strings are attached. It's held nearly upright with the sound box in the musician's lap or between the musician's legs. The strings run in parallel over a wooden bridge on the body, up a long neck, past a second smaller bridge to the tuning pegs and scroll, which is usually carved into the form of a horse's head. Traditionally, the larger of the two strings, the male string, has 130 hairs from the stallion's tail, while the female string has 105 hairs from a mare's tail. Yes, it appears that sex is very much alive and kicking in Mongolian music. But nowadays, the strings are more often made of nylon. So I'm particularly happy to see not one, but two horsehead fiddles on display at the Hurungbia Hotel, across the road from my slightly more modest inn. There's a lot of water in the town. Hailar lies on the southern bank of the Hailar River at its junction with the Yimin River, and this is one of the city's undoubted charms. Apart from the aforementioned statues, there are also flowers in abundance, not to mention flower and plant sculptures. Along the banks of the rivers can be found walls decorated with simple motifs that include horses, yurts, sheep, and even the occasional camel. And while fermented mare's milk may not be to everyone's taste, it's readily available for purchase if you look for the signs. Talking of milk, you should also be prepared to try Mongolian milk tea just for the experience, if nothing else. It's easy to make using normal black tea. Sauté half a teaspoon of flour with a little butter, add rice or millet and fry it for a little while. Add in the tea, plus a little salt, and boil it together for a short while. Then throw in a load of milk and bring it back to the boil, continuing to boil it for about 10 minutes. You can optionally even add some mutton or beef pieces into the brew. And that's all there is to it, the perfect must-have brew to drink with every meal. If Hailar is an attractive little city in the daytime, it really comes into its own once all the insects have decided it's high time to get some shut-eye and snuggle up under their little duvets or wherever it is that the critters get their beauty sleep. The place everyone makes a beeline for is Genghis Khan Square, with older people doing line dancing, whilst the younger generation are on rollerblades or trying their hand at go-karting or boat rides. Naturally, the street food vendors do a lot of business, selling everything from meat on a stick to trinkets for friends back home. Genghis might well have been responsible for the deaths of as many as 40 million people, It's even been estimated that the Mongols' attacks may have reduced the entire world population by as much as 11%, including the killing of around 3/4 of modern-day Iran's population. But he's certainly a popular lad in Hailar. But today it's Saturday, and Genghis Khan Square is also resounding to the sound of hip-hop music, accompanying a lively fashion show which has the masses reaching out for their iPhones. My visit comes to an end, and with tears in my eyes, I head off to the airport, just 4 kilometers away from the downtown area. The nighttime lighting continues to be fabulous all the way to the airport. It's a joy to behold, and guaranteed to ensure that Hailar's visitors will leave with a smile on their faces, determined to head back again as soon as they are able.